In this video, we're going to add a little bit more onto our story, so we have a few more options here. And we're also going to look at how to debug when we run into problems with our code and don't know how to fix them. The first thing I'm going to do is change our keep walking function a little bit. So instead of having it end the game, I'm going to have it give us a couple of options. So button 1 is going to have the inner HTML walk even more. And our other option is going to be turn right. And instead of having this one get us lost in the forest forever, I'm going to move that somewhere else. I'm going to have this one be instead, you walk further, but the forest seems endless. And we're also going to change this from the forest one, which is where we're lost, to another one I picked out called road with the extension JPG. Road.jpg. Now when we keep walking, you walk a little bit further and the forest seems endless. We're still on the road. And if I click walk even more, it doesn't work yet because we haven't added our other event listeners yet. So let's add our other events. So one of the ones, I want to bring back the getting lost one because I still want that to be one of the endings. So we'll have a function that is called walk even more. And in this one, we're going to say image.set attribute src, and the source of the image is going to be forest.jpg, the one we just got rid of. And this one's text is going to be set equal to you get lost in the forest forever. And now this one will be one of our actual endings. So in this one, we'll say button1.style equals display none. And button2.style equals display none. So now we load our game, we keep walking, we walk even more, and it doesn't work. Why does it not work? Well, just like last time in the last video, I didn't actually add the event listeners onto it. So in our keep walking function, when we get here, when we click keep walking, we have an event listener for keep walking. It's right here and it tells us to run the keep walking function. But we don't have one of those for the walk even more function right here. So in our keep walking function, when we click on button 1, we want it to call the walk even more function. So to do that, we're going to say button1 dot add event listener, and then we're going to say we're going to wait for a click, and then we're going to say comma, and then the function we want to call. So the function we want to call is walk even more. And then we'll save it and reload our page, and then we can click keep walking, and then we can click walk even more, and it doesn't work. Okay, perfect. So this is a great opportunity to talk about troubleshooting. My code doesn't work, and I don't know why. What do you do? One of the first things you want to do is right-click on your page and click Inspect, and then go over to your console. And oftentimes, if there's a problem with your JavaScript, like one of your function names is wrong or something, it'll throw an error in your console and tell you where the problem is happening. So this will actually tell me uncaught type error, button1.addEventListener is not a function. When we get an error that is saying something like something.something is not a function, usually what it means is either there's something wrong with our button variable, so for instance, maybe we assigned it wrong and it's actually equal to nothing or equal to the wrong thing, or it could also mean that our addEventListener function is misspelled or missing or otherwise the wrong thing to call. Oftentimes, all it's going to take is looking at what line it says it's happening on. So it's telling me on index.html, it's happening at line 64. So if I go over to line 64 and I look and I read very carefully, it's hard to catch these errors, pay very close attention, but you'll see that actually it's the E in event listener should be capitalized, and I think I'm also missing listener. I was missing an E. So some misspellings and capitalizations, those will really break your code. Now if we reload the page and we click keep walking and walk even more, now our code completes because we've put the right thing in here. Next, I also want to add an event for button 2 here. So when we keep walking, I want an option to turn right, and I want that to do something else. So let's add in that function. So we'll say button 2 add event listener. And again, we're going to wait for a click. And then we're going to call a function, but I haven't written the function that we're going to have yet. So this last one is going to be the only way to win the game. So we're going to say function turn right. And then inside the curly braces, we're going to say text.set attribute src. And we're going to set the source to, let's see, what's my other one called? My other one is called hills, and its extension is .jpg. And then we need to set text, so we'll say text.inner HTML is equal to, and we'll set this equal to you escape the forest. And now that we've won the game, we'll also turn our buttons off because that's the last thing that can happen in the game, so the buttons will disappear. And now if we reload our page and we say keep walking and then we say turn right, well, that's not right. Oh, right, because we forgot to actually add the event listener up here. We still have to say, we still have to call the correct function. So this one is turn right. Now if we reload it and we say keep walking and we say turn right, interesting. Okay. So it says you escape the forest, but it's showing me the wrong picture. So this seems like maybe a logic error. We could always check our console and see if there's anything wrong, but the console doesn't say there's a problem, but obviously there is a problem. So how do we fix this? A good way to fix something like this is to think about where in your code the problem would happen. So we know this function is being called because our text gets shown here. So there must be something else about what we're doing here that isn't correct. And specifically, the thing that's wrong is our image. Our image isn't actually showing correctly. So what's wrong with this image line here? And when I look at this, I realize that I actually typed text.setAttribute and not image.setAttribute. So that might be the problem. Now if we reload it and we say keep walking and turn right, there we go. We escaped the forest. So there's our basic game, and those are some of the principles behind troubleshooting and debugging code. The first thing you're going to always want to do is check your console, see if any errors turn up there. If the errors do turn up, find out where they're happening on the page. Look for what line number they're happening at, and look around there for what might be causing those kinds of errors. If you're having a problem but it's not throwing an error in the console, you want to think about what might be causing that problem and where the problem is happening. So for instance, in our last one, we knew the problem was happening with our image, so we checked around the code that should have been setting the image correctly, and we paid really close attention to what the names of everything were, that everything was spelled correctly, and that we were actually doing what we intended to be doing. And that's where it's really important to have an understanding of what your code is doing overall and why you need to be paying attention to the theory and not just copying the code I have. Because when you get to those problems, you have to be able to think through what your code is supposed to be doing rather than have to rely on me or a video to tell you exactly how to do it. That's the end of this tutorial. There are a few other challenges I have for you guys though. First of all, try on your own to add in 1 or 2 more scenes to your game. So that means adding in another image or 2, maybe some more functions, building out your game a little bit with a few more options. You could also try having one of your functions link back around, like there could be a loop. For instance, keep walking could call walk even more, and then walk even more could call back to keep walking, and it could just go forever like that. That'd be kind of interesting if someone can figure that out. I would also recommend changing any of the styles you want. I would definitely mess around with these, add a little bit more onto them. Remember, Google is your best friend. If you want to know how to do something, type it into Google. It's the best teacher you'll ever have, much better than I am. Congratulations to everyone who got this far, and have fun coding.